So why don't we start with Mike? You want to lay us into this book?
Sure. This is an autobiography of a woman who grew up in Iran. She created this graphic novel in French, and then eventually it was adapted into the movie, which won an award in 2007 Academy Awards. Not Best Picture, but...
Yeah, she was nominated for several things, but she didn't get Best Picture.
And my impression the first time I read it was I found the story fascinating, but I did wonder if it was getting more awards than it deserved, because I don't know if it was actually skilled writing, or it was just a really fascinating story. But now rereading it, the thing I find really interesting about it is that since it's told from the point of view of a young girl, it's almost like reading like a Peanuts comic strip, but it's all about this crazy revolution that's going on. And so her reactions and her facial expressions and her dialogue and how she sees the world is almost like a kid's cartoon comic strip. But the things that are going on and what she sees, like bombing, people's houses getting blown up, friends, uncles, going to prison, and so for that, I think it's absolutely amazing. It's like no other comic I've ever read.
My 8-year-old daughter read the entire book in like a night and a half. She loved it. So it for anyone who's reading books, it's the art is really rudimentary and basic. It's almost, the movie fixes that in the sense that it's kind of off-putting, in the sense that it's almost like, it's not stickman. I don't want to insult her art. I think it's charming and sort of, I don't say Art Nouveau or anything, but it's got a real pace to it. Like, it's really well done. It's easy to follow because it's so childish. And the story, I finally understood, I think, for the first time, why the veil wasn't just something cultural that people shouldn't get so excited about because it's a veil. I mean, that's what they wear in their country. And I don't know why all these women are getting upset about something that happens in another country. This explains that sort of stuff to me. I now understood why, selling guns to both sides as North Americans, like the Americans doing this at different revolution times, and this is real, but all through this little girl's perspective, who loves Bruce Lee, who loves the Bee Gees, who gets into punk rock, who gets into Iron Maiden. Like, it's great to see it that way. And in the film, it gets even better.
It humanizes, well, these people.
It makes you also understand a bit of what's going on in that part of the world today.
Sometimes there is a misconception, and the media perpetuates this sometimes as well, with Middle Eastern people or Muslim people, because I was born Middle Eastern and Muslim. And
were you born in Lebanon?
No, I was born here in Canada. My parents were born there, but they came to this country. So sometimes I find myself getting agitated by, whether it's a novel, a book, a movie, any type of media, where it's done wrong.
It's preachy, and it's done like, this is terrible. And
exactly. And to read this was a little bit different, because first of all, through the eyes of a child, it was interesting kind of to see what a child really would feel. Because as an adult, it's a little bit different than the way we'd feel about oppression. But as a child, I mean, if you look at some of the kids nowadays, in some way, in certain things, they're in, I'd say, oppressed kind of.
Yeah, but
with some of the things that they're limited to do in North America. So when you see it from a Middle Eastern child, or a Muslim child going through it and listening to what the dynamics of that childhood would be like, it was interesting to see, and it was pretty bang on with some of it. Some of the things that they said, I was
Like, can you give us an example?
Well, some of it is more, it's not religious. I'm sorry, George.
I keep trying to go over that. Well, we were talking about, I was talking about the reason why I want to do the communist thing is the fact that she does latch on to the uncle.
Yes.
And the uncle that gets into the idea of, he goes off to Russia and he talks about, like, Che Guevara gets mentioned and other things like that. And just having that idea, again, like saying, like, latching on to different heroes and ideas. And when you're limited to what you get, in her life, I mean, we have everything.
And
you
that's
could be a cowboy, you could be
Indian, you
could be a this, you could be a that.
She was like most attracted to, and all the kids in the story were most attracted to people that were extremely oppressed, or like prisoners that survived the torture, right?
Every prisoner was a hero.
Exactly.
And now you look at a prisoner like, you're in jail?
Survived, that's why. That's right. Because they survived what they were going through.
So what part did you, when you were reading it, thought like,
They seemed to show it more so and explain to people that it was more about the country as opposed to the religion. That it was a little bit more, a little bit of the religion in there as well.
But wait, correct me if I'm wrong though. Like in the book, is she Muslim or she's Christian in the book?
She's raised as Muslim.
But no, but she refers to, she's talking to God. She's not talking to
But God
Allah.
is one of the prophets.
This is a prime example. So.
But she's not Allah. She's not Muhammad.
Okay, and I'm so glad you said that, because the misconception out there is that Allah is something separate. The difference is God. If you said God in French, the word God is Dieu in French.
Yeah.
In Arabic, the word God is Allah. It's not a separate being. It's not Buddha. It's not something
They just
separate.
believe that what
That's all it is.
Muhammad was
a prophet as opposed
but
to Jesus.
Jesus
It's
was
no
not
different.
really the son of God.
That's it. That's right.
Jesus was like Jokey Smurf.
No, wait.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And
Different
also,
Smurfs.
I have never.
but wait, but also,
Because I'm just really capturing now really the.
Sorry.
I liked it. The bottom
Okay.
line is I liked it.
So you would recommend this book?
I would recommend it.
And
I've not seen
George-
the movie. I don't know if the movie was
now
better or
what
not,
if
but
you
I
were
liked
sitting
it.
at the casino reading this, and someone came up to you and asked you if you were too old to be reading this comic?
I would throw the book at them.
You throw the comic at them.
I would. No, actually, yeah, I would.
That's my comic though, so you can't do that.
Okay. This, I believe, came from Windsor Public Library.
Actually, that
There
comic
you
is
go.
I'm so, okay, sorry. George, do you recommend this?
Not only would
Do you
I think
recommend the
this
book?
should, I think this should enter into the same area as Bone, and be part of the Scholastic program, and because you should trust me with your kids.
Okay, so do you recommend the book, Michael?
Yes, other than, I mean, it's too bad that her choices are limited, and she did like the bands she liked. Other than that, fine. Danny.
It's a good book. The art is what it is. It's obviously not that type of book. Very good. I do recommend it. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Ghost World, the movie.
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
Yes.
scary movie.
Oh.
I'm Batman.
And I'm Robin.
Comic book Syndicate assemble.